Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here and this is the camera comparison of two mid-range phones, the Realme One with the Redmi Note 5 Pro. The Redmi Note 5 Pro is currently the champion when it comes to camera in the sub 15K segment, so let's see if Realme One is able to provide a good competition in the camera department. So talking about the specifications, the Realme One has a 13 megapixel rear camera with f-stop 2.2 aperture, LED flash, face detection autofocus and an 8 megapixel front shooter with f-stop 2.2. Now coming to the Redmi Note 5 Pro, it has a dual camera setup with a 12 megapixel primary camera, f-stop 2.2 and a secondary 5 megapixel camera for depth sensing. There is dual LED flash and face detection autofocus as well. The front shooter on the Redmi Note 5 Pro is a 20 megapixel camera again with f2.2. Now let's go straight into the camera samples and see which is better. So first up, let's have a look at the video recording. Here both the smartphones can record videos in 1080p or Full HD resolution, but the Redmi Note 5 Pro offers electronic image stabilization or EIS, hence the video is stabilized. While the Realme One video looks average and it has also issue of focus hunting. So in terms of the video recording, the Redmi Note 5 Pro is the clear winner. Next up, the daylight captures. Looking at the sample side by side, you can see both the phones does a pretty good job with color reproduction and also details. At times the exposure levels are not really accurate on the Realme One. Also when you zoom in the images, that's when you can see that details are more pronounced in the Redmi Note 5 Pro. In close-up images, again both the cameras have good colors and overall clarity looks good when you view them side by side. But when you zoom into the images, you can see that the Realme One loses on details and goes blurry, but at the same time, Redmi Note 5 Pro offers more details and images are sharper. So in terms of the daylight conditions, we would give it to the Redmi Note 5 Pro for more detailed images with lesser noise. Next, let's have a look at the low light captures. The Realme One is capable of producing decently well-lit photos similar to the Redmi Note 5 Pro, but when it comes to noise levels, the Redmi Note 5 Pro does it better with lesser noise. Also, the colors looks a bit more accurate and richer on the Redmi Note 5 Pro compared to the Realme One. So these are the low light captures taken with both these devices. Now coming to the selfie camera. The Redmi has a 20 megapixel shooter while the Realme One gets an 8 megapixel shooter. But even with an 8 megapixel shooter, the Realme One does a pretty good job in selfie departments and produces images with good details and sharpness levels. So based on the images you can decide which selfie looks better, as selfies are more of a personal choice. But when it comes to portrait selfies, the Redmi Note 5 Pro does it better with better edge detection and sharper images. So this is the front-facing camera sample taken with the Realme One, which again has an 8 megapixel shooter which is capable of recording videos in 720p as well as 1080p resolution. And this is the 1080p sample we have taken with the front-facing 8 megapixel camera. So you can also judge how good the clarity of the video is and also the audio output from the Realme One's front-facing camera. So this is the front-facing camera sample taken using the Xiaomi's Redmi Note 5 Pro, which has a massive 20 megapixel shooter which is again capable of recording videos in 1080p resolution. So this is the 1080p sample we have taken using the front-facing camera, and you can judge yourself how good the clarity of the video is and also the audio output from the video. So this is the Xiaomi's Redmi Note 5 Pro with 20 megapixel shooter. Now finally the portrait samples from the rear camera. So Redmi Note 5 Pro is the king when it comes to portrait photos, and it retains the title with excellent edge detection compared to the Realme One, which has decent results but edges looks a bit blurry. So again in terms of the portrait samples, the Redmi Note 5 Pro is the winner. So that was the camera comparison of the Redmi Note 5 Pro with the newly launched Realme One. Oppo has done quite a decent job with the camera on the Realme One for an 899 price device, and this is definitely good camera performance. But when you compare it with the Redmi Note 5 Pro, it loses out on sharpness levels and also images are a bit noisy, and there is no EIS offered, and video recording again it's the Note 5 Pro which emerges as a winner. So overall in terms of the camera department, we feel the Redmi Note 5 Pro is better of the two and probably the best camera smartphone right now below the 15K price segment. So that was the detailed camera comparison. So this is Numa signing off. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.